the Black Lives Matter from the Humanities 150 class, and Adewale Adeniyi. And here with me is Luke Bowles, Opal Chan,
Rajbir.
Lendl Mortz.
And I'm Sarifa. Nice to meet you, Professor. Okay, so what question are we starting with?
So we're going to be starting with the first question, which is how do you respond to comments or statements when people make a comment like "all lives matter"? What do you think comes to mind?
When someone says the statement "all lives matter," it's clear that they don't know the actual argument of the movement, because the movement isn't arguing that all lives don't matter, and it's clear, like if you read basic research about the actual movement, so it's clear that these people are fragile, uncomfortable with the topic of race. And so maybe if you're approached with someone that says something like all lives matter, just maybe explain to them that the movement is fighting for the lives of people of color, and Black people specifically, because their lives are actually in jeopardy. So it'd be begging the question if you said all lives matter, because that's not the argument. It's completely off topic. It's just a way to dismiss the entire movement that a lot of people's lives rely on. And so frankly, I think it's selfish and ignorant, but people will eventually learn as this movement grows. So I hope that this statement will stop being used, and I'm sure like with time it will.
Talking about your experience with movements, your experiences with having to go around to talk about this. Have you ever experienced anything that had to relate with someone having to say that comment straight at you? Or how did you respond to it? How was the response of others who were part of the movement? How did it go?
Well, talking about privilege specifically, as you know, we went through training together for a job to learn about things like privilege and race and discrimination, especially on college campuses. And there were a lot of people in our group that argued that the phrase "check your privilege" was too harsh, or that white privilege didn't exist because everyone has it as hard as everyone else. And of course, things like that seem logical when you haven't lived in the shoes of someone else, but at the same time, it means something if you haven't tried. Like, if you've dismissed an entire community. And a lot of instances of privilege has been proved, so that's not really the argument, but it's not a reason. Privilege isn't someone's fault, of course, but if you are okay with it, if you let it go on, if you work to maintain the system that provides you with all this privilege and also takes the lives of little Black kids at the same time, like, then it's your fault. If you embrace your privilege, that's not what you should do. You should be recognizing it and then using that power that you have to be in the shoes of others. And so when people say all lives matter,
So recently, at a Bernie Sanders rally, it was interrupted by Black Lives Matter movement. What are your thoughts about it?
The two individuals that held that protest or that call to action, Mara and Marissa, it was really great for them to recognize that a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters and Bernie Sanders himself had gotten away with ignoring the question of police brutality, especially how it had spiked at that time in the U.S. and during his campaign, and then him and his people supporting him still kind of ignored it, even though they were the liberal party, they were the progressive party. And so to kind of have these people get on the stage and be like, if you guys are like progressive, like you'll listen to us, like our kids are getting shot in the street, you know, like you can't ignore this anymore. And then if you see the video, his supporters booed them off the stage, you know? So it really says something about liberals in this country, you know? It says something about people that claim to be progressive. A lot of these Bernie Sanders supporters turned their back and started supporting Trump after the race became between him and just Hillary. Not that voting for Hillary would have been that much better, but like, they voted for Trump. So like, it's crazy to see that the ideals of a heavy conservative, arguably fascist, could coincide with someone like Bernie Sanders that we all see as being so progressive and like a dreamboat, even though a lot of his supporters, whether or not he did, but a lot of his supporters still ignore these big questions. So I feel like it was really important for them to get up and do that. It took a lot of courage. It was probably really scary.
I think it speaks out for the people too, right? That are Bernie supporters, and as soon as this happens, they're just gone.
Yeah.
It's like there are a lot of people that are like that. Who just don't have opinions based on their own opinions
Yeah.
or facts or statistics. It's just kind of crazy.